road is cracked, but I still walk. With every stumble, I still talk.
The sky's not falling, just a little gray.
Life's a storm, but I'll find my way. Through the dark, the light will shine. The clock keeps ticking, and so will I. Stay strong, keep the faith alive. We rise, we fall, we thrive. Ups and downs, they shape the climb. This life is precious, one of a kind. With death, every scar a lesson learned, every fire where strength is earned. Through the pain I've seen the truth, the hardest days are proof of you. Stay strong, keep the faith alive. We rise, we fall, we thrive. Ups and downs, they shape the climb. This life is precious, one of a kind. Stay strong, keep the faith alive. We rise, we fall, we thrive. Ups and downs, they shape the climb. This life is precious, one of a kind.
Through the dust of the veldt, where the wind does moan, we've carved out a life in the soil and stone. They call us names, but we stand up tall. For faith and family, we've weathered it all. Raise the flag high, let the colors fly. With our hands we've built under God's own sky. No insult can break what's forged in our soul. Africa and her heart steadfast and whole. They say we're dogs, they say we're small, but we've built empires and answered the call. With the earth in our palms and the sun on our backs, we march to the rhythm of unbroken tracks. Through the storms and strife we hold the line. The roots run deep like the old oak spine. Pride in our spirit, love in our veins. The faith of our fathers forever remains. Raise the flag high, let the colors fly. our hands we've built under God's own sky. No insult can break what's forged in our soul. Africa, her heart steadfast and whole. Through the years and miles, we've walked this road, bearing the burdens, carrying the load. But the light of our fire, it will never fade, for the strength of our people will never be swayed.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello folks, welcome back to the program. It's Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. It's Chris live in central Pennsylvania. While the Human Rights Report is out 3 months delayed, these reports have finally come out for countries around the world from the U.S. Department of State. And the report in South Africa is damning, but not devastating. That's how I describe it. Let me read the executive summary very quickly here. If you haven't caught my analysis or last night's broadcast, very quickly, the executive summary on the first page of this 21-page Human Rights Report, which no longer gives countries grades. Boy, that's kind. Took that out. We've been doing this since 1961 under the Foreign Aid Law. So this is what the executive summary says. This report will disappoint some. It will anger some. The bottom line is it's politically correct in many respects, but it's honest. Thank you, Bobby B, for your membership. Oh, this is a gift of membership. So let me turn that off for a moment. Thank you guys very much for that. Where are we at here? So many things I've got on this. There it is. Got it. Okay. Thank you. All right. So this is this summary. Executive summary is rather short. When I do executive summaries, they're usually 2 pages or longer, but this is about half a page. The human rights situation in South Africa significantly worsened during the year. With the signing of the expropriation bill on December 20th, South Africa took a substantially worrying steps towards land expropriation of Afrikaners and further abuses against racial minorities in the country. Significant human rights issues included credible reports of arbitrary or unlawful killings, arbitrary arrest or detention, and the repression of racial minorities. The government did not take credible steps to investigate, prosecute, or punish officials who committed human rights abuses, including inflammatory racial rhetoric against Afrikaners and other racial minorities, or violence against racial minorities. And that's the executive summary. It does address farm attacks, but contrary to the lies and speculation, there are no references to any of the Afrikaner groups in there. There's no mention of Solidarity, AfriForum, or Lex Libertas. And judging from the contents of that report, clearly whatever they may or may not have shared with anyone was not communicated in that report. The information in that report is information that's widely available, and anyone who opens their eyes could see it. The summary is damning, but not devastating. It could have been much worse for South Africa. Much of the report is complimentary, and it simply states the facts regarding labor laws. The fact that laws are in place, they're simply not enforced. Anyway, the South African government will deny it. They will try whataboutism. They've already tried that, and that will fall flat because it has no bearing on this issue whatsoever. Anyone who talks about South African Human Rights Report and then says, but America, then you just shut them down, just ignore them, don't listen to them. The report is not about America. The report is about South Africa. Focus on the report at hand. And if they want to play games, America is the true beacon of liberty and freedom, regardless of what the propaganda in the media and social media liars tell you. Anyway, that's the Human Rights Report. We'll talk more about it. If you want to find it, you can go to my video. There's a link to it. You can download it. Anyone who's interested in the U.S. refugee resettlement program for the United States, I would highly recommend that you download that PDF. You read it. Maybe if you have the ability to print it out and highlight paragraphs, particularly the executive summary on page 1. I'd also recommend that you become familiar with page 2, the extrajudicial killings There are things in there that are useful for you to prove that you have fear of future persecution. The freedom of the press, not so much for you, but physical attacks, imprisonment, and pressure. I'd also recommend that you go through that section on page 4 and 5. Page 4, and then page 15 will be the next thing of most interest for people who want the refugee program. Page 15 will detail the farm attacks and the suspension. And this is the other part of the piece that's important, but this comes almost directly out of President Trump's executive order, so it's not really like it tells anything new. The Expropriation Act, enacted by President as Expropriation Act 13 of 2024, was signed after nearly 20 years of debate, legal challenges, and discussions around land reform, primarily because the act would permit the government to expropriate land without compensation under certain conditions. This act would enable the government to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation, following countless government policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity in employment, education, and business, and extreme rhetoric and government actions fueling disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners. It's pretty much copied right from President Trump's executive order. Bottom line, though, is that it is damaging, and I think that this report will give impetus and pressure to move forward with Ronnie Jackson's bill in front of the House of Representatives once they come back from recess. We'll see, but I think that's the tangible impact of this report. Beyond that, I don't see much happening. I don't think there's that, but that link is below the video that I did. Please watch the video. But that video hasn't had a lot of viewers. You can find this online. It's publicly available. Now, this is a public report. What was shared in the classified realm, we do not know. 2024 country reports on human rights practices, South Africa. It's 171 kilobytes. And there's the executive summary. And there's all the segments of it. That's online, but you're going to want to download it and print it out, okay? The United States State Department claims human rights have worsened in South Africa, and that's because they have. Yeah. Durko has criticized State Department's flawed human rights report, calling it an inaccurate portrayal of the nation's constitutional democracy. Now, the problem with this, Amanda Koza, is that you made a statement there. You didn't quote, you didn't say Durko has criticized the U.S. Department of State's human rights report as flawed. That would be news. If Amanda Koza in News 24, Cockprot 24 said Durko has criticized the United States Department's human rights report as flawed, that would be news. But what Amanda Koza or her editor did is said the following: Durko has criticized the U.S. State Department's flawed human rights report. Who said it's flawed? You, as a journalist? It's not flawed. It's accurate. This is propaganda. Calling it an inaccurate portrayal of the nation's constitutional democracy. Pretoria refuted claims on land grabs, racial violence, and alleged human rights abuses, affirming its adherence to robust democratic processes. If only that were true. Highlighted the UN's support for South Africa's land reforms, contrasting U.S. criticism. What UN support for land reforms? The UN has not endorsed expropriation without compensation. That's a lie. That's a myth. Wow. Much of the assessment of the 2012 report on human rights is based on enactment of the Expropriation Act. Actually, that's not true. That's factually untrue, man. Did you actually read the 21 pages? Did you actually read the 21 pages? Expropriation of land is only mentioned 3 times in a 21-page report. How can that be much? I would like to know what the definition of much is to the journalists and editors at Cockprot 24. Much of the document is dedicated to expropriation. That's just poppycock. That's just propaganda. And all the fools that read only Cockprot 24 will believe that. Read the report for yourself. You don't have to believe me. Unlike Cockprot 24, there's no link here in their story. Let me see. Now, they offer no URL to find the report. No, they offer a link to Ronnie Jackson's story about his bill, but no link to the report. Now, why is that? It's a simple thing to do. Did they even read the report? Did News 24's editors and the journalists actually read this human rights report? I seriously doubt it, because they're already talking out their ass. They don't know what they're talking about here. The government website link. I don't know what you're talking about. What government website link? What are you talking about? I just downloaded. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm going to disprove that right here. There's the link right there. Download report. Look at that. Look at that. It worked. There's the report. The entire thing. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Stop spreading nonsense here. Yeah. Yes, they must run their stories through ChatGPT. In a statement on Tuesday, the department spokesman Chris Wyatt said Pretoria was profoundly disappointed by the deeply flawed report in the Human Rights Report. We find the report to be inaccurate and deeply flawed account that fails to reflect the reality of our constitutional democracy. They don't mention the good parts of it for South Africa. Perry said the report's reliance on acontextual information and discredited accounts was highly concerning. Well, Durko has been discredited time and time again, as has Ronnie Lamolle, the failed justice minister, failed foreign minister, has been discredited over and over again. His arrogance. So I'm sorry, I'm not listening to anything that Kristen Peary has to say. South Africa slams the rights report as inaccurate and misleading. Minister of International Relations Ronald Lamolle has expressed deep disappointment with the recent U.S. State Department report on human rights in South Africa, calling it inaccurate and deeply flawed. Why are they so dementedly obsessed with lying about the situation in South Africa? Just be honest. Nothing is going to change. No one's going to push you out of power. No one's going to change your racist laws. Just tell the truth. You know it's true. You've gotten away with it for 30 years. You're going to deny that you've excluded racial minorities, people born after the end of apartheid, and punished them because of their skin color, denying them bursaries for university, denying them access, and now you trumping up every little nonsense you can to claim racism because of your failures? No, I'm sorry. Not buying it for a second. Well, the Democratic Alliance apparently is still planning on putting forward a deputy minister, a needless deputy minister, ridiculous deputy ministers. The DA is finalizing Whitfield's replacement, but key union partners meeting still pending. Why are we getting a replacement for Andrew Whitfield? We don't need these deputy ministers. That's just a drain on the taxpayer. The DA is finalizing a replacement for Deputy Minister Andrew Whitfield, who was dismissed in June, July, August. 3 months later, the Democratic Alliance can't even go to its roster of people and pick somebody to fill a slot that doesn't need to be filled. Talk about pathetic and useless. That's what I would call that, pathetic and useless. 3 months, they haven't come up with a replacement. What kind of political party is this? How thin is their bench that that's all they can pull off? How thin is their bench? How thin is their bench? Okay, well, here's their statement, which wasn't online. It's dated 12 August, but this statement wasn't online. Oops, that's not it. This statement was not online on 12 August. I went there. It wasn't published on their website. Now they backdate it to 12 August. Here with information which is distorted by the U.S. report. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So they're refuting the fact that the U.S. government reported that the farmers were being prosecuted for the murder? Are you serious? Are you serious? This is unbelievable. Let me find this. This is what they say. The South African Human Rights Commission reported that on August 30th, 2 black women ages 45 and 35 were shot and killed on a farm at Limpopo. According to the South African Human Rights Commission, a swineherd and 2 employees were arrested and appeared in court on charges of killing the women. The victims were allegedly shot and killed, their remains fed to the swineherd's pigs. So this is going to refute that. Here with information which is distorted by the U.S. report. What's distorted? What's distorted? This is a BBC report from 6 days ago. Okay, see, here's the problem with this. You cannot take these clowns seriously. You cannot take them seriously. This BBC news story, number one, ran 6 days ago. That would be Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Friday. The story ran on Friday or Thursday last week. The people who wrote the information for the report returned to the States 2 weeks ago. And they released a tweet over a week ago based on information that was available at the time. Now, Durko is going to reference a BBC article that came out after the report was compiled to refute it, and it doesn't even refute it. Seriously? So the U.S. government is standing up for murdered black women in South Africa and Limpopo, and the Durko is saying that that's propaganda. Are you serious? Are you freaking serious? How do you take these clowns seriously? Stupid people. Unbelievable. I'm going to have to... Here, they're refuting. False data distort complex picture of South African... What is this? PBS. I'm going to refer to PBS. Okay, let's go to that. Fact-checking Trump's claims of white farmer genocide. Okay, first off, I'm going to fact-check this because Trump didn't say genocide. See, that's already fake news, PBS. And this is who you're going to refer to. This is your source. Trump did not say genocide. Why is it so difficult for these frauds to admit the truth? When directly asked the question, which was staged by a South African reporter in the Oval Office, President Trump, do you still believe there's white genocide? What was Trump's response? I'm not convinced of that. So why do they keep saying white genocide? Because they are lying. And so this is their source? All right. Where I'm looking here. South African crime data and its limitations. No evidence of South Africa sponsored or organized killings to destroy a group. No one ever made that claim. They're saying there's no evidence that South Africa sponsored a group. No one made that claim. Trump never made that claim. In most cases, new land requires payment to owners. That's a lie. That's a lie. So this fact check says nothing. This is what they turn to. This is feeble. This shows you how incompetent Ronnie Lamola is. President's response to July unrest. So here we have the South African government offering itself as evidence to refute that it's at fault. Oh my goodness, what happened here? What happened here? Boy, this thing is way off. It says 101 viewers. We have 567. I got a little nervous here. I thought everybody left, but the audience is building. So the South African government's offering is proof that it's okay, its own fairy tales and lies. Wow. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, folks. So opening statement by President Ramaphosa, April of 2022. And he gives his bullshit story about what they did about the internal insurrection in the ANC. This is not evidence. This is a joke. Is this for real? Are these people serious? Are we supposed to take them seriously? Wow. We remain open to addressing these distortions through the diplomatic channels. You remain open to addressing the distortions. Which ones? The ones you just provided? Oh my goodness. Wow. The Durko gives, okay, that if that's their response, it is going to be very easy for the world to believe the truth here. So their lies and the propaganda they're saying about, they refute this report. They don't refute it. They simply offer lame, publicly available information. They criticize reporters using publicly available information. Then they refute it with publicly available information. That's comical. That's comical. That is absolutely comical. This is pathetic. This is what you have for government in South Africa. This is a clown car show. I mean, these people aren't even competent. They couldn't run a kindergarten crash, let alone a municipal, a provincial, or a national government. And the DA finalizing a replacement for Andrew Whitfield. Why? Why? We don't need another deputy minister in that department. What we need is a new minister. If you can provide a DA minister to replace the clown that's running it from the ANC, that would be great. Extended cabinet, been vacant since June, and it should remain vacant, as should the other deputy minister. South Africa seeks to offer a revised trade deal. So Parks Towel comes with peanuts for the U.S., a $29 trillion, $30 trillion a year economy. He wants to offer us a couple $100 billion a year buying liquefied natural gas. I'm sorry, that's not really helpful. U.S. is South Africa's third largest trading partner after the European Union and China. The European Union is not a trading partner. The European Union does not trade with South Africa. That is who wrote this crap? I'm sorry there, Ntako Joseph Mabasa. That European Union is not a trading partner. The European Union does not ship goods and services to South Africa. That's bullshit. Germany, France, Italy, they ship things to South Africa, not the European Union. There is no European Union. It does not exist as an exporting body. So it's not the second largest trading partner. The U.S. is the second largest trading partner. Let's get that fact straight, okay? All right, but South Africa ranks only 43rd on the list of U.S. importers, amounting for just 2.25% of the country's total imports. Agriculture makes up 4% of South Africa's exports to the U.S., worth $537 million a year, up 104% since 2018. Our goal is to demonstrate that South African exports do not pose a threat to U.S. industries. You're missing the point entirely. You're missing the point entirely. See, this is the problem. This is the problem with dim-witted people who don't know what they're talking about. The problem is not the threat to U.S. industry. No. Or to our economy. No, you don't present a threat. Your imported BMWs and Mercedes C-classes and your wine and your oranges and your whatever, that's not a threat to our economy. Your agriculture actually complements it because you send fresh produce in the off-season for much of America. It's fantastic. Your wine's not bad. People buy it. Great. The cars, because we gave you tax advantages, were less expensive than the ones from Germany. So good deal. But the problem here is that it's not that. See, this is these dim-witted fools don't understand that the problem is that you are hampering our industry and costing us jobs because you refuse to accept our imports by putting artificial quotas, barriers, and tariffs on our products. Not to mention your corrupt immigration and customs officials who use exorbitant, extortionary rates that are not even in the law to steal money from private citizens when they receive goods through the mail because you're criminals. That is the problem, South Africa. That is the problem. That is why you have tariffs, not because we worry about you coming in our country. You're not Taiwan exporting chips to America, undermining our chip manufacturing industry. No, we don't care. Nobody here is worried about your biltong or your wine or your oranges or your BMWs and Mercedes. It's not a threat. You're missing the point entirely, Parks Tao. You're a dimwit. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your unfair practices. That's why it's called reciprocal tariffs. You have tariffs on us, and you seem to think it's okay. We give you duty-free access to our marketplace for 25 years. And what's our reward? Support for terror groups, anti-Semitism, anti-white, anti-Christian, pro-Islamist. That's what we get. We get the likes of Naledi Pandor, the vile, repulsive Jabba the Hutt insulting the world. Of course, the State Department report is free. Parks Tao's Plan A turns to new markets. Okay. Well, here it is. Thank you, Farrell Hafiji, for this insightful report. On the 12th of August, South Africa dangles blueberries and pork in a bid to avert U.S. tariff blow. South Africa has offered easier access to American blueberries, poultry, and pork in a revised trade deal. And what about your customs immigration frauds? What about your quotas on our automobiles? So this is what they offer us. And they have a diversification plan. They're going to ship more of their goods to Asia and the Middle East. Well, good luck with that. But they're going to be vigilant against dumping. We're not vigilant against Chinese dumping through Temu and Shein. Yep. Trade Minister Parks Tao and Agriculture Minister John Susan, along with new trade attaches. And with new trade attaches and negotiating teams, will jet off to Asia and Middle East to bolster new markets. Well, how about a trade team and attaché for the U.S.? Where's that at? The avocado industry in Limpopo is so resilient, Steenhuisen revealed, that it believes it can still be competitive even at 30% export tariff. This is not Plan B, it's a Plan A for long-term resilience. No, it's not. Where was this plan 18 months ago when it was obvious that the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act was going to disappear and your artificial, unearned, undeserved, duty-free advantage coming into America would dissipate? You sat on your fat asses in your blue light escorts, running over civilians, terrorizing the streets of South Africa, living in your palatial mansions, suckling off the taxpayer with no vision, no leadership, and taking no action. All you do is busy navel-gazing 18 months ago, trying to divide up the spoils of who will lead the government after May 29th. That's what your focus was 18 months ago when I cautioned and warned you that AGOA would disappear. You're not leaders, you're parasites. You're not leaders, you're parasites. Speaking of parasites, the ANC is doubling down on BEE. The ANC has doubled down on black economic empowerment amid questions over its policies' true beneficiaries. As the leader of society, the ANC will continue to evaluate the implementation of all transformation policies to ensure they remain true to their mandate. Where these policies are found not to benefit those who were previously oppressed and marginalized, they will be reviewed and strengthened. Two problems with that. Number one, as a leader of society, they're not leading anything. They're reaction. They're just reactionary. That's all they are. The entire ANC, the entire GNU is reactionary. Other than Gate McKenzie offering to give, pay for, commercial soccer replay. Why are taxpayers paying for that? That's the only visionary thing, and that's a stupid thing. Socialism, communism, using taxpayer money to fund a private industry. What kind of crap is that? If soccer wants to have video replay, let them pay for it. If they don't have the money, they should increase the price of the turnstile. If they have a product, people pay for it. Stupid stuff. There is no leadership in that government. Who is looking down the road? Who is planning ahead? All of their goals are ways to accumulate wealth for their privileged elite. Unbelievable. Leader of society, the ANC doesn't lead anything. They simply react. They continue to evaluate and implement all transformation policies and ensure they remain true to their mandate. They are true to their mandate. The intent of expropriation is to impoverish racial minorities. The intent of expropriation, of transformation, is racial revenge. The intent of transformation is the oppression of racial minorities. And it's working very well. I must say, it's working very well. They're doing very well. Congratulations to the ANC. You have impoverished over 500,000 white Afrikaners alone. Lord knows how many colored South Africans have been impoverished by your policies, not to mention Indians. Yes, the displacement of people, the destruction of business, the undermining of everything, the collapse of the infrastructure. You're doing so well transforming South Africa from a functioning, almost first world country to the worst of the third world countries in Africa. That's what you're turning it into. Well done, ANC. Well, the tariffs aren't going to be the only problem. Economists are predicting a global slowdown because of the tariffs on the U.S. Isn't it funny how we hear the BRICS nations, Cyril Ramaphosa, Fikile Mabalula, Gwede Mandasha, we hear Xi Jinping, we hear all of these clowns, Lula, talking about how America is not important, it's a new dawn, it's the global south, and America doesn't matter, we'll go to alternative markets, America doesn't matter. Funny thing, why is there a global slowdown? Because the U.S. is putting tariffs on imports. If the U.S. is so unimportant and it's not such a major player in the global economic outlook, then why does it matter if the U.S. puts tariffs on goods coming in its country? I mean, after all, it just means Americans will pay more, right? According to their simplistic, juvenile, first-grade analysis, which is wrong, Americans will eat the cost of the tariffs. Well, if that's true, then what does it matter? And what does America matter anyway? How can it slow down global economic growth if America is unimportant? But now they're whining and claiming that, well, the global slowdown because of America's tariffs. Well, you can't have it one way and then make a statement that's completely contrary. These so-called economists aren't that bright. Global economic slowdown is likely to hit South Africa far harder than the direct impact of U.S. tariffs. And the nonsense that government officials come up with here is comical. Trump's tariff wars increased the U.S. average tariff rate to 18%, up from 2.5% before it was made. That will deal a major economic shock to the world as tariffs suddenly jump to the highest level since 1934. How? How will that affect a major shock to the world unless Americans stop buying everything? And you have no indication Americans will stop buying even with tariffs. There's no indication. There's no information on that. There's no data to substantiate that. Tariffs have come and consumers have still spent. I just bought this. A 4 terabyte solid state drive. Just bought this. Not made here. Probably made in China. I didn't look to see, but I'm sure it's made in China. Oh no, it's made in Thailand. Okay. Surprise, made in Thailand. So this is made in Thailand. I just imported that. Just bought that. Didn't stop me from buying it, the tariffs. I bought it. So what are they talking about here? This is nonsense. And then they try to talk about how little it's going to impact the economy. 0.4% of GDP. Well, the economy is growing at 0.9% in South Africa this year. So almost half that growth will disappear. And that's not going to affect South Africa. Plus, I'm seeing here they're saying the government's saying 30,000 jobs will be affected. They're dreaming. 30,000 jobs in citrus style might be affected, not the whole country. And it's not just the tariffs, but it's the incompetence of South Africa's infrastructure. 1 billion rand already been lost. Cape Town port delays have jeopardized apple and pear exports. So John Steenhuisen is busy telling us, busy telling us that South Africa has opened up apple exports to Thailand after a 16-year hiatus. How are you going to get in the market, John? How are you going to get in the market? Your port's a disaster, an absolute disaster. Saldanha Bay is not up to the task. That's where you should be exporting it from, Saldanha Bay. Why? How are you going to export goods to China when your ports don't even work? What a comical situation. Western Cape's apple and pear export industry is sounding the alarm after estimating that logistical bottlenecks and delays at the port of Cape Town have cost the sector $1 billion last year alone. Industry leaders are calling for urgent fast-tracking the port's privatization to further prevent losses and protect South Africa's market share in key global markets. Urgent plea was made during a strategic discussion on the site yesterday between Western Cape Department of Mobility and key industry players. Rolf Pinar, managing director of True Cape Fruit Marketing, articulated the challenge. We work in a complex, time-sensitive value chain. If a vessel to Europe, the United Kingdom, or the Far East is missed, the sale is gone. You don't get a second chance. Exactly. And who runs the port? A state-owned enterprise. Transnet. A state-owned enterprise runs the port, and it sucks. And it cost them R1 billion last year alone. Well, Cyril Ramaphosa is asking investors to pay for water. Why? So you can give half my equity to someone because their skin color is black? I don't think so. Oh, my goodness. President Ramaphosa has called on investors to make more of their capital available for the development of water projects on the continent as a crucial step in the solution to the region's $30 billion a year water infrastructure investment cap. Speaking at the AU's first Water Investment Program Summit in Cape Town today. Well, 38 water ministers around the continent were there. Well, I'm sorry, but we're not giving you any more money. You've gotten over $1 trillion in foreign aid, and you've pissed it down the drain over the past 60 years. So, go find your own money. Issue bonds. See who buys them. Suckers. Germiston Central Business District is calm after the evictions of residents, which led to the torching of the Home Affairs Office. Police and Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department officers were patrolling and monitoring blocks of Farrow Park Flats in Germiston. This comes after protests on Tuesday during the eviction of residents who were allegedly occupying the block of flats illegally and not paying rent, rates, and taxes. Municipalities owed millions of unpaid taxes and rates. Well, it's not allegedly. They were. Stop saying allegedly. That's why they were evicted. Meanwhile, the Germiston Home Affairs Office is closed after the attack, but their mobile units are open. 2 suspects allegedly threw a petrol bomb at Germiston Home Affairs Office, destroying the entire immigration floor and leaving 500 daily users without services. Well, there you go. Home Affairs under siege. Severed hands and a tongue found outside a primary school. What the hell is wrong with people? A newspaper delivery person made a gruesome discovery outside a primary school in Verulam, north of Durban. 2 human hands severed at the forearm and wrapped in a bloody white cloth. My goodness. Reaction Unit South Africa responded to the call from the employer, who reported seeing either human or animal limbs. Owner Prem Balram said officers made a grisly find along with an organ thought to be an animal tongue lying on a shattered piece of perspex or glass. Don't even know if the hands are from the same person, even though one is darker than the other, or whether they were male or female. Good Lord. What the hell is wrong with people? Ronnie Lamola is putting South Africa's tech industry at risk. Yes, he is. Well, surprise, surprise, because Taiwan will not be sending you chips. Taiwan said it's considering restricting semiconductor exports to South Africa in retaliation for downgrading its de facto embassies from liaison to commercial offices and displacing its Pretoria mission. Yeah, Ronnie Lamola has been pushing for this. They've been pushing for it to make sure that they comply with their Chinese overlords, their masters whose boots they're busy licking, going to China for a week when the tariffs against South Africa were coming. Where was the South African trade team when tariffs were approaching from Trump after 90 days? They were in China licking the boots and scrotum of Chinese officials. 6 ministers, the deputy president, Parks Tao, John Steenhuisen, and a deputy minister were all there. Instead of negotiating with Americans, blaming America for simply applying tariffs that applied to us. You put tariffs on us, we put tariffs on you. Simple as that. Anti-colonial allies. South Africa deepens ties with Iran amid strained U.S. relations. Anti-colonial. Well, I would argue that both the Iranian regime and the South African regime are colonial powers. Neither of them legitimate. There was no African National Congress in the Zulu Kingdom, in the Xhosa Kingdom, in the Venda Kingdom, amongst the Tswana tribes. There was no such thing as the ANC. This is a colonial creation. They've colonized South Africa since 1994. And they've extirpated and stolen trillions of rand from the people of South Africa and destroyed the infrastructure and destroyed racial relations and harmony. They've destroyed the Ubuntu that they so proudly proclaim that they support. They are the colonial power. They have usurped authority from the people of South Africa, the African National Congress. And, of course, Tehran's mullahs are a colonial power, imposing a 13th century barbaric regime on the people of Iran, imprisoning them, murdering them, killing them, slaughtering them, and taking their rights away. These are the colonial powers, not the ones that they claim are colonial powers. Iran's Major General Amir Hatami praised South Africa's stance against U.S.-Israeli policies. Of course he did. Despite escalating tension between Washington and Pretoria over South Africa's relationships, the South African National Defense Force chief visited Iran this week. Oh, there you go. I'm sure that will endear. That will endear. You should take John Steenhuisen with you. He wants to get more lamb sales to the Iranians. You should take him. Don't just send your military there. Well, that's So the ANC doesn't get it. They don't care. They don't care if South Africa melts and burns down. They don't care. You lose your job, not an issue for them. You're white, you're colored, Indian, you don't get a job anyway. So they don't care. Let the whole thing burn down. Well, South African education is focused on pass rates and neglecting key early childhood growth. Fort Hare, Vice Chancellor. Well, thank you for that, sir. I've only been saying that for years. This 30% nonsense is nonsense. It's not passing people. It's simply pushing them down the road. 60% of South African children aged 5 and under are not enrolled in early childhood development programs. Well, that's okay. I never had early childhood. I didn't go to kindergarten. I didn't get any education that way. I turned out just fine. You don't need that crutch if you have parents who raise their children and are already educating them before they go to school. Well, the Stormers have unveiled a new logo, replacing 26-year-old Lightning Bolt, and I'm not too thrilled with it. The rebrand reflects their commitment to building stronger community connections and continued success under new leadership and financial stability. What kind of crap is that? What kind of crap is that? A logo for community connections? Okay, here's the logo, folks. Do you feel more connected to the Stormers because of that? Does that make you feel more connected? Does that make you feel connected to the Stormers? I mean, what the hell is that? And why do we have to have the DHL arc over it? Stormers in it together. So this in the Stormers, this is an ad for DHL. That is a dumb logo. Yeah, who's their sponsor? Exactly. What broken link, Russell? What broken link? What are you talking about? See, that's useless. Broken link. What is broken link? That means nothing. Richard likes it. Namibia's central bank has held steady on its interest rate at 6.75%. Namibia's central bank kept its main interest rate steady at 6.75% today, marking third consecutive policy meeting without a change. Wow, these guys are just like, just like Jerome Powell here in the States. But their rates are much higher. Ours is 4.25%, theirs 6.75%. While U.S. U.S. military was forced to pull out of the Shared Accord exercise because of the betrayal of the South African National Defense Force and DIRCO and Home Affairs, well, not DIRCO, Home Affairs, in undermining the existing status of forces agreement and lying about it, the U.S. was forced to pull out of that exercise, insulting America once again after we committed forces and money to this exercise for 18 months. Meanwhile, Botswana is a good neighbor, and we did an exercise with them. U.S. and Botswana forces unite in joint combined exercise training, a JSET. 3rd Special Forces Group and the Botswana Defense Force Special Forces Regiment recently completed a joint combined education exchange training in June, strengthening Botswana's ability to counter threats effectively and reinforcing the close security partnership between the two nations. The program included advanced tactical training encompassing small unit tactics, marksmanship, leadership development, and specialized field operations. These exercises prepare both forces to respond effectively to security challenges ranging from transnational crime to violent extremism. So, we're still doing stuff with Botswana, even though the South African government betrayed us. Ugandan opposition are not happy. They seek to nullify a law on military prosecution of civilians. I agree. Military has no jurisdiction over civilians unless martial law is declared. Uganda's biggest opposition party on Wednesday filed a case in the Constitutional Court to nullify a newly enacted law that reinstated the right of military tribunals to try civilians. The Supreme Court prescribed the prosecution of civilians in the tribunals in January, saying that they lacked legal competence to conduct criminal trials in a fair and impartial manner. Of course they do. They're not appropriate for that. Yes, the Stormers logo does look like change, and that's going to be very sensitive in a place where slavery was prevalent, in the Western Cape. So here's a story in the IOL. It's their lead story today. Palestine's murdered children. 18,000 names we must never forget. Israel has murdered 18,000 children in 700 days. That's roughly one child every hour for 700 days. Let that sink in. I'm sorry. Could somebody please go back in the Wayback Machine and show me the IOL's story about the murdered children from October 7th? Can they show me? Can they show me a story they ran on that? Now, you're accusing me of whataboutism? That's fine. I am using whataboutism because it's appropriate in this case. They never once rued the murder of infants stuck into microwaves and murdered, stuck in ovens, in a particularly gruesome symbolic image to Jews. IOL never covered that. Never rued the 1,200 plus people abused, tortured, raped, murdered, executed on that day. Never did. Never did. China claims that it chased away an American ship. This is hilarious. Chinese military says it drove away a U.S. destroyer near the Scarborough Shoal. The Scarborough Shoal is in international waters. It is not Chinese territory. It is fraudulently claimed by China, which has no say there. The South Africans and Chinese are so fond of the International Court of Justice, the ICJ ruled against China, and they simply ignore it. China has no legitimate claim to its 9-line fantasy. Yet they are. They're claiming it's sovereign Chinese soil or sovereign Chinese waters. Yes, the Stormers logo looks like it belongs in a washing machine. That's what I was thinking. Or a Indian car brand. China's military said on Wednesday it monitored and drove away a U.S. destroyer that sailed near the disputed Scarborough Shoal in the busy waterway in South China Sea. The first known U.S. military operation in at least 6 years within the shoal's waters came a day after the Philippines accused Chinese vessels of dangerous maneuvers and unlawful interference. In a statement, they said the U.S. move seriously violated China's sovereignty and security, severely undermined peace and stability in the South China Sea, and they will keep high alert at all times. 7th Fleet said they asserted their navigational rights and freedoms consistent with international law. China is the aggressor here. That's not Chinese waters. It's not sovereign, and they're full of themselves, and they need to stop it. Well, Switzerland is reeling from the 39% tariffs, and they're wondering if the neutrality even plays a role anymore. Trump's tariffs are forcing the home of Davos to consider appealing to the U.S. or forming closer ties with the European Union. Switzerland thrived as an honest broker and diplomatic powerhouse for centuries. The War of Spanish Success between France and the Holy Roman Empire finally ended in 1714 with a treaty signed in the small town of Baden. In 1872, an arbitration court in Geneva ordered the UK to pay the U.S. compensation for providing warships to the Confederacy during the Civil War. It later played a role in setting navigation rights in the Black Sea and resolving conflicts from Indochina and Algeria. But many in this small alpine country, which the U.S. recently slapped with one of the highest tariffs in the world, are now questioning whether its centuries-old model of neutrality and exceptionalism is still fit for purpose in a transactional, power-driven world. In this new world, Switzerland, the home of Davos and multilateral organizations such as the World Trade Organization and the International Committee of the Red Cross, is a symbol of globalism now out of fashion in many capitals. Yes, but I disagree that they need to change their position. Switzerland does need to remain neutral. They're part of the European Free Trading Agreement, but they're not part of the EU, and they should stay out of it. Estonia has expelled a Russian diplomat over sanctions violations. Estonia is expelling a Russian diplomat over sanctions violations and other crimes against the state, according to the Baltic's foreign ministry. Small Baltic countries' foreign ministry. The first secretary of the Russian embassy in Tallinn has been declared persona non grata and must leave Estonia. The Russian embassy's ongoing interference in the internal affairs of the Republic of Estonia must end. An Estonian citizen has been convicted of crimes in connection with this case, and they will not elaborate anymore. Wow. So Russians being kicked out of Estonia. Claudia Sheinbaum's Mexico transfers 26 suspected cartel members to the United States. Gee, thanks. That's all we need. More murderers up here. Trump has urged Sheinbaum to dismantle Mexican drug organizations. Mexico said it expelled a group of 26 imprisoned cartel members wanted by the U.S. in the midst of rising pressure from the Trump administration. President Trump will announce the Kennedy Center honorees. Trump is headed to the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts to announce this year's honorees. He's shown intense interest in the center since returning to office, naming himself as its chairman and purging its traditionally bipartisan board. President Volodymyr Zelensky urged Trump not to unilaterally strike a peace deal with Russia to end the war. It began with a full-scale invasion more than 3 years ago. General Electric Appliances plans to invest $3 billion into the U.S. to blunt the tariffs. Now, this treasonous company sold by General Electric to the Chinese wants to invest in America. Chinese-owned maker of refrigerators and stoves will add 1,000 jobs. GE Appliances says it plans to invest $3 billion to expand and modernize its U.S. factories over the next 5 years, helping to blunt the effects of tariffs by reshoring some work now done in China and Mexico. The appliance maker, owned by China-based Haier Smart Home, said the money will go into factories in South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. A previously announced project, the $490 million expansion of a washing machine factory in Louisville, is also part of the deal. Kevin Nolan, GE Appliances chief executive, said that while the company has long aimed to build its products close to their end markets, trade considerations played a role in the decision to upgrade its aging plants. Well, selling GE Appliances to the Chinese was a betrayal of America, and I don't care what you have to say, Kevin Nolan. Putting an American face on a Chinese company doesn't change it. It's still Chinese. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bow Wow Bowser backtracks on support of Trump's National Guard deployment, calling it an authoritarian push. Well, you have nothing to say, Bow Wow. You failed. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, an elected Democrat, reversed her take on Trump's mobilization. Her 180 degrees change comes hours after she appeared to support Trump's actions. This is a time where community needs to jump in, and we all need to do what we can in our space, in our lane, to protect our city and to protect our autonomy, protect our home rule. We got the other side of this guy, and make sure we elect a Democratic House so we can have a backstop. And I now call for the removal of Muriel Bowser as an ineffective mayor of the District of Columbia, federal territory. She is a political operative and not a mayor. She should be removed from office forthwith. She is illegitimate, and she needs to be removed. Andrew Cuomo is attacking Zoolander, Zoran Mondami, over his rent control. Richie Rich lives in a rent-controlled apartment, and it's striking a chord with New Yorkers who are angry. The attacks in the New York City mayor's race have veered into the personal, but they also reflect a larger debate on who should benefit from government regulation of housing costs. No one should benefit. There should be no regulation of government housing. It's bullshit. Long-running campaign fight over New York City's soaring housing costs ignited this week around an unlikely spark. The $2,300 a month rent-stabilized apartment occupied by Zoolander, Zoran Mamdani, the Islamic fanaticist, radical, fascist, communist, Democratic nominee for mayor. It began on Friday when his leading rival, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, unexpectedly attacked him. He makes $142,000 a year as a state assemblyman for occupying an affordable unit in Astoria that he said should go to a needier New Yorker. By Tuesday, the broadside escalated into a multi-day war of words between Mamdani, the frontrunner, and Cuomo. The 33-year-old Democratic Socialist Fascist Islamist Mr. Mamdani handily defeated Cuomo and other Democratic rivals in June's primary under their bullshit, ranked voting system. Heavy rains causing flash flooding in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The mayor of Hamilton County, Tennessee, declared a state of emergency as rescue crews pull people out of submerged cars and homes. Flash floods swept through the southeastern Tennessee on Tuesday, shutting down several roads and areas around Chattanooga as emergency crews rescued people from the waters. Weston Wamp, the mayor of Hamilton County, declared a state of emergency shortly before 10 p.m. and asked residents to exercise extreme caution. 6 inches of rain fell Tuesday evening in Chattanooga metropolitan area. Wow. Former WNBA star Sophie Bruner's mom killed in a head-on collision with, yes, you guessed it, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, a criminal alien invader with a history of drunk driving. Former WNBA star Sophie Bruner's mother was killed in a head-on crash in Illinois with an illegal alien, who had a disturbing history of drunk driving. Darcy Connolly Bruner, 61, was struck when Rolando Ico Choc, a 30-year-old Guatemalan national, crossed over into the wrong lane in Freeport Saturday afternoon. The illegal alien, who had a hefty rap sheet including multiple prior DUIs, was also killed in the wreck. There she is. There's no indication that Miss Bruner, a mother of four, was drunk. In the wake of the tragedy, Senator Andrew Chesney said Iko Choc was in the U.S. illegally and on Homeland Security's radar. A woman who dedicated her life to her family and her community was killed in broad daylight by a man who never should have been in this country or on the road. His criminal record includes prior charges of DUI, aggravated felony DUI, and battery. Additionally, it was confirmed by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security that he was in this country illegally, having crossed the border a few years ago during the Biden regime. Another death, courtesy of Joe Biden. Iko Choc's run-ins with authorities date back to at least March 2022 when he was arrested on DUI charges as well as driving without a valid license. He pled guilty to misdemeanor DUI and was ordered to remain under court supervision for 2 years, records show. He was arrested again for a DUI in February 2023 when he was still banned from driving. He pled guilty and was slapped with a court supervision order as well as a brief 80-day stint in jail. After he was arrested for domestic battery in June 2023, he was sentenced to 6 days in prison. Senator Chesney blasted the state's lax immigration law known as the Trust Act that prevents local cops from working with ICE to nab criminal migrants. So this woman is dead now because of criminal alien invader. I hold J.B. Pritzker personally responsible. I hold the Democrats responsible. This should not have happened. Criminal alien invaders shouldn't have been in the country. And he got arrested for DUI. If I get a DUI, I lose my license. I go to jail. I have to pay thousands of dollars in fines and legal expenses. These criminal alien invaders walk around with impunity, endangering the lives of our citizens on the roads, drinking, beating people, murdering people. Never should have happened. Well, folks, I was kind of reticent to talk about this story. This is kind of a weird one. Frankenstein rabbits. Yeah, a virus apparently. This is real. It's not made up. Frankenstein rabbits with horrifying spikes growing from their heads are invading the U.S., and experts warn to stay away. It's not just a bad hair day. Ha ha ha. A rapidly spreading virus is causing cottontail rabbits to grow black tentacle-like growths out of their heads, prompting warnings to steer clear of the mutated animals. The so-called Franken bunnies have been spotted multiple times in Fort Collins, Colorado. Resident Susan Mansfield said she saw a rabbit with what looked like black quills or black toothpicks sticking out all over his or her mouth. I thought he would die off during the winter, but he didn't. He came back a second year, and it grew. One person described the infected critter as having a scabious-looking growth over their face. The so-called bunny blight is actually a disease called cottontail papillomavirus, also known as Shope papillomavirus, which causes cottontails to sprout tumors around their head. It is spread by parasites, ticks, and fleas, which pass on the ailment through their bites. Typically, rabbits become infected in the warmer months of summer when transmitted by being bitten by insects like fleas and ticks. Ugh. While the recent sightings in Colorado, the disease most frequently rears its horny head in the Midwest. In 2013, a Minnesota resident caused a stir after posting a video of a Tendai-ridden rabbit in his backyard, which he dubbed the Frankenstein bunny, and compared it to the mystical jackalope, a hoax that was promulgated by jokesters sewing antlers onto taxidermy rabbits. In light of the rampant sightings, wildlife experts have warned people not to approach or handle the affected critters. Thankfully, while the virus can spread between rabbits, it's not known to affect humans or pets and is therefore not considered a threat to public health. The rabbits, on the other hand, are not so lucky. Although cases can resolve on their own, the Medusa-like protrusions can also balloon up to the point that they interfere with the infected carrot cruncher's ability to eat. In addition, the disease is more severe in domestic bunnies than their wild brethren, with a big fear that being that they can develop squamous cell carcinoma. Ugh. Stay away from them. Don't go near the bunnies. Don't go near the bunnies. Don't go near the bunnies. That's bad mojo, folks. I'm 740 people here, 490 likes. What's up with that? Let's start hitting that like button. I prefer the bugger off bunny. Yes, the bugger off bunny is much better, man. Much better. Pierce Press G has built a following for a few months before changing approach and selling products to pinch refuse products, which no one needs. What are you talking about, Dirk? Okay. YouTube is up to some strange stuff. The last 3 times I've selected your videos, another arbitrary video loads. Yeah, there you go. That would explain why my views are down. Yep. Oh, Bob is fine, man. Bob is fine. He's doing great. Bob's fine. He's right here. There's Bob. Oh, there. Here comes Bob. Hey, Bob. Yeah, Bob won't go anywhere near them. Got the call today. Tomorrow I'm going to a follow-up. Okay, Ian. Good to hear. YouTube froze. I'm not surprised. And then people still want to drink and drive. Yeah, it's sad, Nikki. It is. It's sad. Rabbit season. I have a personal rule, and I've told people this always, and that's why if you ever hear that I've been arrested for drunk driving, you'll know that it's a fix. It's a fix. It's bogus. I refuse to get behind the wheel when I've had to drop alcohol. Therefore, I seldom drink. Seldom drink. I'm not a teetotaler. I just know that a car is a weapon. I mean, hell, yesterday I was driving and I almost had an accident because someone stopped right in front of me, stomped on the brakes for no reason. I was traveling a safe distance. That's the only reason I didn't have an accident. Yep. It must be painful for the bunnies, Barbie. I agree. Must be horrible for them. Good God. That's right. That's great, MJ. I better hide the bugger off bunny. Yep, that is sad. Okay. Now that I finally got my passport, I seriously can't wait for that call. Okay, Nikki, glad to hear you got a passport. I don't know what report from Professor G you're talking about. Guys, I haven't seen any report from Professor G. Yeah, another iconic U.S. company fire sold to this Chinese Communist Party. Yep, GE Electronics. And I was GE shareholder, and GE stock was worthless. They ruined it. They ruined it. For 15 years, my GE stock went nowhere. It went down. It was worth less than I paid for it because they destroyed the company. It was one of the most iconic industrial brands in the world. They undermined it. GE Aviation, GE Aerospace, GE Appliances, their financing unit, all that stuff. They ruined it. Did you hear the lies on business? They said that HR report from U.S. is on business? Are you serious? Oh, I didn't see that. Let me go to business. Who said this? Wow, who said that? Who said that? You got to tell me who said that, because 6 hours ago. U.S. ups the ante and updated state report. Maybe that's the one. Is this the one?
Turn a blind eye towards some pretty horrific disinformation. We've asked our friends at Google to take a deep dive into this latest US human rights report, having a look at that, and of course the South African government's response, which looks at interesting issues, including the pig farm murders that have grabbed so much of the headlines here. It's a balanced piece, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.
A balanced piece?
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a really complex and often debated.
This is Google. They're making news by playing Google? That's what business is doing now? This is Google. That's AI. So Alex Hogue introduces AI saying it's a balanced report.
Topic: the human rights situation in South Africa.
Yeah, it's a nation that gets a lot of global attention, doesn't it?
No,
and
it
the
doesn't.
recent headlines, well, they're certainly making waves.
Absolutely. What's fascinating here, I think, is how wildly different stories can emerge from.
All right, I'll listen to this later on, but that's the introduction was very, very disappointing. And I won't pull any punches. I've frequently been a guest on Biz News, and I'm not going to sit here if they're misleading people. I'll expose it, but I don't know that they are. I have to listen to it. Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay, thanks for that. I'll have to listen to that. Frustrating people make claims not knowing the details. I'm not a farmer myself, but I grew up on a farm and have a good sense of how things work. Okay, what did Rex's human say? Hey, Linus Sands in from Windhoek. What's going on? Yeah, I don't think that's from the police. I think that's from a private company. I think that's a private company, that cop car, Cecile. I don't that Mercedes. I don't think that's the police. I think that's a private company. It had advertising across the top of the windscreen. Good day. Christo, hey, how's it going? Oh, you got gifted membership. That's cool. All right, where are we at? Carol Ann says, Pressy's done a huge load of work to help asylum seekers, which could help refugees. It's a minimum amount for this document. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's AIBS, Mike. I'll listen to it. Wow. Elon needed to download Colonel's brain so we can have afterlife AI with the Colonel. Just about every one of the Colonel's lives starts the stops. It says problem playing. What? Karen, what are you talking about? What are you guys talking about? What starts, what stops? I don't understand that. You guys are losing me on that one. So 700 people here now, and we got 548 likes. That's a little bit better. Still not great, though. We can do better than that. Yeah, YouTube has been acting weird for some time. Yep, it has been acting weird. So let me take a look, folks, and just give you an idea. I haven't done this for a while, giving up. It's a struggle to get to 1,000 subscribers. Yep, we're at 958. We're 42 short of getting to 111,000. It's frustrating. So let me just give you an update here on what's going on. So I look at analytics. All right, so the channel, yesterday was a good day. We had 140,000 views. That's the best day since the 6th. That's good. Yeah, and it's the first time we've been over 100,000 since the 6th. Wow, we were over 100,000 every day for a long time. So good day yesterday. I don't know how we're doing today, but let's take a look at lifetime for the channel. Okay, lifetime for this channel now. Remember, this channel had 3,400,000 views from April of 2021 until December 31st, 2024. We're now at 28 million views. Cool. 28 million views. That's cool. 2.5 million hours of content watched. 111,000 subscribers roughly. That's awesome. Thank you all for that. Really do appreciate that. We have one video over 500,000 views, two over 200,000, and then in the top 10, the other 8 are over 150,000. So that's awesome. But nothing recently. Nothing recently. April, January, May, March, nothing recently. I haven't had anything since April that's gone over that mark. We've had a few 100,000s, but no 150,000s. So that's in 2025. This is what we've done this year. 23.7 of the 28 million views have come here. 2 million hours that were watched here. Been pretty consistent with some dips and some spikes, but pretty consistent since mid-January. Yep, and 90,500 subscribers this year. So it's been a very good year for the channel, although it's slowed down a lot since we hit 100,000. But still very grateful for that. As far as content, videos I did last night, the big surprise is the Human Rights Report. Not doing particularly well, 26,000. Not terrible, but not great. 22 new subscribers. The Explosive Human Rights Report video that I did was about 9 minutes, has 45,858 new subscribers. Thank you for that. And then the one that did even better than that was Trump Human Rights Report, 60,300 with 73 new subscribers. So thank you for that. The refugees are in the U.S. pay their tax this season. Just wondering if they lost tax. Natasha, I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about paying South African tax? I guess that's what you're talking about. I don't know anything about that. Boy, Mad Max keeps putting all these links in there for Dirtco. Hang on a second. It jumped on me there. Okay. At least the studio software works now. Clarification. The Department of International Relations Coordination has taken note of the recent media statements concerning comments attributed to South African Defense Force General Rudzani Mapimpi. Is that the guy that we weren't sure? We didn't know if he was MK operative or if he was saying that it's used that the. Excuse me. It is crucial to clarify the implementation of South Africa's foreign policy as a function of the presidency supported by DIRCO. Correct. Consequently, any statements made by an individual department other than the responsible for foreign policy should not be misinterpreted as official positions of the South African government. Marks attributed to General Mampania, therefore, do not represent. Well, what comments? I mean, I remember some guy that looked like he was an MK operative making comments pretending to be in the military. Was this him? Or did he say something else? Latest post by Tom McDonald has great genes. What? Tom McDonald has great genes. I think the Colonel should submit his own report on human rights. How far can the U.S. warships shoot? Our battleships' guns can shoot like 30 miles and hit things 30 miles from the shore. Yeah, they can fire quite a ways. Tommy Doll has great genes. Had a second call from RC today following a nearly 2-hour-long interview along with the documents assigned for background. The program is Moving Guys Keep the Faith, says a real great collie. Yep. Hey, Colonel, any news if the Americanas Group will get involved with the State Department as a contractor? Philip, I did a short on that yesterday. See, that's the problem. Content is hidden from people. I'll give you the link to the short. And that one now has 13,000 views. Shareable link. Here it is if you want to. And that's less than 3 minutes. So you can go watch that. And that will answer your questions as best as I can answer them, okay? For nukes, thousands of miles. Yeah, he said non-nukes. Durco did a new press release, okay? Also offer your service to refugee program like Americanas Group did. No, I don't think so, as Mari. I don't think so. When would I have time to do that? And I'm happy to offer my services to the Department of State as a consultant or offer my services to the State Department as an appointed official in the Trump administration should someone step forward and offer that position to me. But I am not going to offer my services to them because it's inappropriate for me in this role to be engaged in that. That's inappropriate. Just had to refresh to be able to super chat. Something is, yeah, YouTube is definitely, I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody. I hope it's everybody. Not that I want everybody to suffer, but I hope it's not me being targeted. Swimming in lakes is a no-go. Family of 12-year-old died from brain-eating amoeba. Good Lord, where was that at, Richard? Elon's going to buy the Cape for $50 billion. $50 billion what? Zimbabwe dollars? Seems like Dorikas is scared of, oh my gosh, I think he's going to die in the fight. What are you talking about there? Achieving now with no chat. Well, that's odd. I think after everything the Colonel has done for us, it'd be awesome if he can get it. Well, it'd be nice if the State Department gave me an award. They can do that. I got a State Department award before. It'd be nice if they gave me one. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, apparently YouTube is having all kinds of problems. Wow, that's crazy, guys. I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you for your patience. It's definitely not me. Definitely not me. Thank you for the Super Chat, Con. Let me make sure I didn't miss Super Chats because there were a number of them here that came earlier. I want to go to those now. Super Chats. Super Chats. Right. Okay. So 13 August. First one was Werner Durant for 200 Rand because we love you. Thank you, Werner. I appreciate that so much. Hang on a second. Hello? That was the Board of Elections for the county calling me to ask if I'm going to be at the elections in November. I'm like, I don't really have an option. I'm the judge. It's kind of my job. So, yes, I'll be there. And then they asked if I had any comments. So that was the Board of Elections. Sorry about that, folks. All right, back to this. So thank you, Werner. Then Mad Max gave one. Give me a link to the Durko's comments. Teresa, comparing benches. How thin is the bench? Yeah, Teresa, they are very thin. Thank you, 140 Rand. And then 99 Rand for the hip. Well, thank you. The hip is probably going to be about $6,000, I suspect. I don't know. Mad Max gave another one for another link. And then he gave a third one for a link. And then Con de Bruyne gave one. I just had to refresh. That's crazy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 super chats here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, 7 in the stream. Thank you for that, guys. Yep. We've got Ronaldo coming up at the top of the hour. You'll be automatically. Oh, someone just. I had 110,959 subscribers. Now I'm down to 58. Someone left just like that. Just like that, someone left. Yaku Ruiz, welcome to you. Okay. Check Tom McDonald's post. Where's the post, Freya? On YouTube or on Twitter? See, that's not helpful. Where? Ja. Also, Freya, also man muss richtig die Details ausgeben. Sonst können wir gar nichts finden. Es gibt ja viele Orte. Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Ich habe gar keine Ahnung. Wohin soll ich hingehen? Okay, wohin soll ich gehen? Okay. YouTube are blocking comments. Leon Free, what's up, man? We're all curious. Reference Amerikaners. What are you curious about, Helen? Got killed last week from a south. Yeah, I heard about that. And that was a link that was given to us by Mad Max yesterday. Thank you, Freya, on YouTube. Thank you. See, I can't go hunting for 1,000 places. Let's go see what Tom McDonald's got to say. Hopefully there's no music involved. Tom McDonald. Oh, he's finally up to 5 million subscribers. That's awesome. Okay. Everything here is old. 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago. There's nothing here. What did he put on YouTube? There's nothing here. Is it the short? There's nothing here. Okay, guys, there's nothing here. This is Tom McDonald. There's nothing here. What are you guys talking about? It's very frustrating when people do this. I'm going to stop paying any attention to the links and stories people tell me if you just send me on wild goose cases, okay? All right. Tom McDonald, right there. White boy crap. Internet new videos. Man in the sky. 3 weeks ago. 5 months ago. 5 months ago. 3 weeks ago. 5 months ago. Shorts. There's nothing here. Is this it here? Is this what you're talking about? Is this what you guys are talking about? Is that what you're all talking about? Okay. That's a post. That's not a video. Well, that's not a post. That's not a video on YouTube. You didn't say it's a video, but one assumes a video. Okay, so I finally found it. There's no video about it. It's just him posting. Okay, now I got it. Come on, guys. I know you speak 6, but what are they? What are you talking about? 6 what? Languages? 200,000 South African Jews have left in the last 12 years. Yes, I know. That's not State Department info. That's info I've shared for 5 years. Did you manage to get a hold of Americaners with regards? I did, Gordon, and I just posted the link. My goodness. Are people just popping in and not paying attention? Just posted this. If you want to know about that, go watch the video. I mean, I take the time to make the videos. You guys could at least go watch them. Appreciate that. Okay, missed the stream, had to run. Okay, hey, Primal War, what's going on? Saw an interview on Biz News about the sewer in the seas in Cape Town. They say it flows from the Salt River all the way down. Ooh, that's gross. We need Tom vibes tonight. The Colonel became a bit condescending. Really? When was I condescending? To whom was I condescending, Jacques? Please elaborate. To whom was I condescending? Okay, languages. Okay. What languages do I speak? That's perfectly okay, Carl. You need to ask the question. I speak English, German, French, Afrikaans, Setswana, and Swahili to varying degrees of proficiency. I'm not proficient in, I'm not fluent in Afrikaans, and I tell people I don't speak it, even though I can speak it. I don't speak it very well. That's why I don't. Yes. So, to whom was I condescending, Jacques? That's a surprising comment coming from you. Well, it's a lot of crap in my head, that's for sure. Madeline's offering free classes. Primal Boar saying I speak a very nice day. No, I think you want to say I speak it deliciously. No, I don't think so. My best go-to line in Afrikaans is Ek praat nie Afrikaans nie. Stratcat says you don't speak Afrikaans. Okay, fine. Gotcha. Thank you for your input. What about a song? We got a lot of them. And then people leave when I do a song. Let me see what else I missed here in the chat. YouTube drops old news into your feed. What does that mean? I don't understand, Mr. Biss Smith. What do you mean YouTube drops old news into my feed? I'm not following. Hey, Vernon. So I'm still waiting. Jacques, you said I was condescending. Who was I condescending to? I'm snarky to people. I don't recall being condescending. That's no. I please tell me when. Good evening, Levon Carey. Pleasure to have you join us here. Yeah. So yeah, the bugger off bunny. Yeah. Hey, Haley. A lot of people I've been asking about Neil DeBeer. Neil is not very well, folks. Not very well. It's you know, we may hear bad news very soon, unfortunately, with the case of Neil DeBeer. I hope for the better, and I'm sure a lot of people are praying for otherwise, but it's not good. He went on Biz News on Sunday, and it was a surprise. He wasn't scheduled to go on. He said, "Hey, where's the link? I'm coming on," and he went on for a few minutes. But I understand that it's not looking good. Primal Boar missed what? What did you miss, man? Okay, Jacques is not going to answer my question, so I'm going to dismiss it. Do you think that the U.S. will have a number limit of refugees eventually? We don't ever have limits, Baron Sher. We have objectives and goals. The annual report from the executive branch to Congress every year on the refugee and asylum program lists goals and objectives of how many refugees we'll take based on a conflict or an issue or a region or country. All of those things fall under it. And typically, we say we're going to take 40 to 150,000 refugees from around the world every year. However, that is often violated. Oftentimes, it falls well short of that. It just depends on what the year is and what kind of processing, how much money is made available. Because you have to understand that we are paying the freight for this. We, the taxpayer, pay to bring these people over here and let them into our country. But he'll need a miracle, Kara. So, yeah. What's with the Natal Sharks? Why does that keep getting posted? Comments the guys posting news in your chat. We get old news on our YouTube thinking it's new. Just wanted to remind everyone to check the post date. Ah, okay. Thank you, dear America, says Ruben. You're welcome. Buffering. People got buffering, chats disappearing, people are getting frozen, all kinds of stuff happening on YouTube. I think it's South Africa's cable connection. I think that's the problem tonight for South, because I don't hear any Americans complaining. It's just the South Africans. Leave the Colonel has a chat with Ronaldo. 9 minutes. We all need ready to meet Jesus, and every day I was thinking that my time would be soon. Luckily, I'm back on track. Good to hear you're back on track there, Stott Cut. First one was for caps, second one was for mentioning the Sharks. You don't take people out for mentioning the Sharks. No, that's not acceptable. And you don't take people out for caps. If people use all caps, you politely admonish them and ask them not to use it. That's the approach we take, Paul. Alan Gill's here. It's the government stalking YouTube. I don't know about that. Maybe stalking me. Rena Watt, what's up? Didn't miss some. You're always missing something. ANC's pulling their cable, Charles. Hey, Charles Van Alton, the voice of reasons here. Paulie, the brains behind the operation, is silent. He was here the other day. I noticed that. YouTube's always listening. Well, Varushka, you can't post links, so I don't know what happened there. Hey, Light Rain got a moment of buffering. Okay, well, that's someone in the U.S. Oh, both was for caps. Well, don't take them out for caps. Give them the warning first, and make sure they acknowledge it, unless they keep doing it. Josi is up now. Josi's up next. Yeah, that was. I'm actually, I was concerned that my interview with Neil a couple weeks ago might be the last one he ever did, and I'm glad that I'm not the last. I would hate to be the last interview. Missed the beginning of your program tonight. What the hell is the ANC doing now with Iran? Yeah, well, they're sending military there. Look, they're a sovereign state, but it's not a good look. It's not a good look. They've written off the U.S. They pretend they're negotiating with the U.S. and they're offering peanuts. They're not offering anything. They're not reducing the tariffs. They're not fixing things. Okay, Primal Boris having. Okay, then it's a YouTube thing globally, not just South Africa. And Alan's having no trouble. Thank you, Mr. President. Did you hear it? No. Pat, I haven't heard that. Hi to all trolls. Thank you for ensuring that we are seen and heard. Ansley says, thanks for it. See you again. Have an awesome afternoon. Okay. Post and chat. Wow, the chat's suddenly coming in. Everybody's typing all of a sudden here. Good grief, YouTube is cruel. Just as you're talking about Neon pops up with an ad, another one bites it. Oh, that's messed up. Do you think the recent arson at Germiston Affairs was a plot to make it harder? No, I don't. No, I don't think it had anything to do with that. I don't have any evidence, but I mean, people are upset about being kicked out of their illegal settlements, and that's what prompted it. So if they were going to torture, they would have done it before. Anthony says, from Nelsprite, hey, how's it going? Bob time, yeah. No, we're not going to accept the offering because it doesn't address the underlying conditions that have led to it. Until they get rid of the problems. I mean, we're not going to accept these huge tariffs and these artificial barriers against our goods. Ronell! How's Ronell doing? Cannot but remember the report you did on the ship that needs to repair the internet cables, and that ship only has a few years left of service. Yep, you're right. It's and then you're going to be screwed. But they're trying to buy a new one. So... what do I keep missing, SV Endless? Use a VPN from Austria, but using US server based in Charlotte still gets slight buffering. Well, with VPN, that's going to be the case. I'm surprised you don't get a lot of buffering. I always get a lot of buffering no matter what country I'm in when I use VPN. That's why I can't broadcast over VPN. It just doesn't work. Right, we got about 5 minutes here. So let's go and take a look at the music. So we did Morning Brew last night. So this is for coffee. For those of you who are coffee fanatics, Morning Brew. And we'll wrap up with this one. Be sure to hit that like button, 665 likes. Coffee fanatics, listen up. Devil's Juice.
Steam rising high like a morning parade. The sun's still yawning, but I'm wide awake. Black gold in my cup keeps the shadows at bay. Pour it hard, pour it strong. Life's a blur till it comes along. Oh, devil's that says I'm all you've got. Oh, bittersweet addiction, you're my only conviction. Pour it hot, pour it strong. Life's a blur till it comes along. Oh, devil's brew, you got me hooked. One sip and I'm already cooked. Espresso, latte, Americano too. Don't care the form, just give me my brew. It's a love affair I can't undo. Pour it hot, pour it strong. Life's a blur till it comes along. Oh, devil's brew, you've got me hooked. One sip and I'm already cooked.
Psycho Billy is on his 8th cup of Java today. That explains an awful lot. Whoops, that's not supposed to be playing. Yeah, there you go. Wow. His 8th cup of coffee today. Man, that's something else. All right, that's going to do it. You see me over in Ronaldo for Wednesdays with the Colonel. All right, cheers, everybody. Be sure to hit that like button. We got 687 likes, and I'll see you there. Thanks for your patronage. Please feel free to watch the short about the Amerikaners. I'll post that at the top again real quick and pin it. So that's the short. Come on. Replace a message. So that's up the top, okay? Go check it out, okay? If you want to see the information I have about the Amerikaners. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. See you later.